Do you think, you sure you think it's a boy, or you just want a boy? You hopeful?
I'm sure I think it's a boy.
And you the only person, right?
I'm the only one. The only nigga.
I don't know, but everybody say girl, but you the only one that say boy, right?
I'm holding.
How sure are you?
I would say like 70%, just to stay on the positive. 70%.
And you gonna be okay if it ain't?
I'm gonna be happy regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Girl, you might have heard my songs, but you don't. Girl, I got a thing for you. Hustle with them dealers when it's time to get that play for you.
So I'm gonna start. There's a lot of other details as to what led up to my labor. If you want like more details, I'll do a separate video, but I want to keep this video just about my labor and delivery. My labor started when I went in for a scan and we had complications, and so I ended up getting admitted. I stayed for a few days. They diagnosed some problems with my baby, and they had decided that our baby had too many problems and that it was not going to sustain life after I birthed it. Even had I carried full term or anything else, nothing was going to help. They let me go, and I ended up coming back that weekend, that Saturday night. I was just about 32 weeks to be induced, and they started me on misoprostol. And that we did that for, I want to say, a little bit over 24 hours, and it softened my cervix a lot, but I wasn't dilating. And that's because it was too early and my body was not ready for me to give birth, neither was my baby ready to come. We switched to a Foley balloon because that it's like it looks like those balloons that you have, like the clowns have. They're like really skinny, and so they insert it into your cervix and then they inflate it. So now it comes in through a tiny hole like this, because that's about how much I was dilated. It goes in like this, and then it gets really big, so it's not going to just come out. But the misoprostol had softened my cervix, so as it would come out, it would dilate me more. I do not recommend that Foley ball for anybody. Now looking back on it, if your body wants to take its time, I recommend that you just let it take its time, because it was really, really painful. It was the most painful part, actually. And now I realize a lot of the stuff that the doctors want to do is for their time and not yours. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a part of my labor that I had done. Anyway, for a lot of my decision making, that I was in the headspace of my baby was kicking and everything was fine in my stomach, but I was aware that my child was not going to survive, that the most we would get is maybe a few minutes, if that, after he came out. They made it clear that the umbilical cord was the only thing keeping my child alive. So it was me, my husband, and my mom. I got the Foley balloon around, I'm not sure what time, but it was after lunchtime on Sunday. It was so painful. Like, I was in so much pain, and I had been contracting for like a week, but I hadn't been feeling them. Sometime during this experience, I started feeling the contractions because they started me on the Pitocin. Now, the first nurse I had while I had the Foley balloon, I'm not saying she's a bad nurse, but the next nurse made her look bad, because this nurse was coming in every 30 minutes or so, and she wasn't like pulling really hard, but she was tugging on the Foley balloon, which was taped to like my inner knee, my inner thigh, so that the tension would help pull it out. But she was tugging on it a little bit here and there, and that really helped it just to come on out. Like, she really saved my life. So now it's like Sunday night, and I'm starting to really feel my contractions, and they are hurting really bad. So I asked for the Stadol, and I remember my mom had left the hospital earlier that day, and she was on her way back. But we were giving birth on a military base, and my mom is not military affiliated, so my husband had to go downstairs to the gate and escort her in. So the lady gave me the Stadol, like, I think as he was leaving, or maybe right before he left. I really can't remember that well, because it just had me gone. Like, it had me so high, y'all. Like, I was hallucinating. I remember the nurse had cut off all the lights, and I was losing it because I was so high that I was nervous. Because I have smoked weed plenty times before in my life. So it's not like I was just high and I was nervous. No, I was higher than I ever been in my life, and I didn't like it. calling my mom. I'm like, where are you? I thought you were just at the gate. She's like, I'm coming in. I'm calling my husband. I'm like, where are you? Like, I'm just really going back and forth, calling her, calling him, calling her, calling him. It felt like an hour, but they said it wasn't that long. That helped with the pain. But the doctors explained to me, after the first dose of Stadol is not as, what's that word? Effective. Yeah. So the first one is like bam, like dead in your forehead. But after that, it's like I got other doses after that, and it was just like they said it would be. It just didn't work. I get up to try to use the bathroom just to try to ease some of the pressure I was feeling down here, and like I threw up everywhere, and like at this point with all the chaos, I'm in pain. Like I'm also mentally in pain. I wasn't getting a C-section, and I knew that. So I was trying to like prepare myself still to push, even though I knew I wasn't gonna take my baby home. I'm getting induced, so I feel like by choice I'm having my baby, knowing that my baby's not gonna make it. The whole time my baby is still kicking. I'm on monitors. I hear the baby's heartbeat and all of that. Everything seems fine, but they had explained to me that with the complications we had, that it was gonna be fine as long as it was attached to me. It was once I had the baby that it was gonna be problems. The abnormalities that they found were not compatible with life. So I'm throwing up, like it's so chaotic, and I'm just like, epidural, like I said the word, you know, give me the epidural. So the guy comes in to give me the epidural. In the room, the nurse, my mom, my husband, like 4 people in hazmat suits, because they were so dramatic about the throw up, like it was toxic or something. I ain't gonna stunt, the throw up was all in the bathroom, and it was everywhere. Like it was like projected everywhere, but that was because I had been eating a whole lot, knowing I wasn't supposed to. But keep in mind, in my headspace, I really did not care. I was doing what I wanted to do because I was going through it. I was depressed. In my head, I've always been told that while you get an epidural, you have to be still, because if not, you could be paralyzed. So I'm like sitting on the bed, I'm naked, because I've been like, all of a sudden I feel like my body was on fire. It's in the middle of the night, Sunday night, by the way. So my body's hot. I done came up out the gown and stuff, and I have this like bag that I'm throwing up in, because I'm still throwing up, but the bed is like lifting. And I'm thinking at some point he's gonna be like, okay, you need to freeze. But like that never happened. He just stuck it on in there, but it was so fast I didn't feel it, and the relief came so fast afterwards that I didn't question it either. So, and my mom was there the whole time, mind you. It's like I knew that whatever happened, wasn't nothing too bad gonna happen, because my mama is right here, and like she said, she had never seen anything like that before. So kudos to him. And that nurse I had that night, she was great, because she was in there too. I was kind of not sleeping. I was like dozing off, and then I would wake back up, because you know when you get induced, they steady come in there checking your cervix and stuff, trying to see like how dilated you are and all that. So at one point, a doctor, not my doctor, but a doctor came in to check me. My umbilical cord fell out. Like it was like it was falling out. It was in the bed between my legs, like. And she said that her hand was on the baby's head, so she didn't remove her hand. Now I'm thinking what happened was she was not aware that we were not expecting to take the baby home. Under normal circumstances, when something like that happens, you would do an emergency C-section, because what could happen is the cord could get around the baby's neck and choke the baby. She called in other doctors, and I guess the other doctors misunderstood her, because they were aware of the situation, and they thought that I was asking for a C-section. Like, the lady's bedside manner was terrible. In so many words, she was just like, I don't know what you think, but we don't give C-sections because you don't want to push. And I was like slowly but surely getting offended, because mind you, this doctor had like 4 students with her. This other doctor is like up to here inside of me. I didn't even ask. What are you talking about? I didn't ask for a C-section. She called you. Why are you talking to me? She called you. But my mama was there, like I said, so I could tell she was finna nip it right in her butt. Before my mom had to act crazy, like I said, we had an amazing nurse, and she peeped the whole situation, and she could see the miscommunications, and so she asked to speak to them outside, and I'm sure that she explained everything and got it all clear, and it was determined that I was not going to get a C-section. So she pulled on out and she left. The next morning, you know, we all tired, but my husband, he had went to sleep. Found out Monday something was wrong, found out Tuesday that our baby wasn't gonna make it, Saturday we're coming in to get induced to have our baby. So it was a lot, and it was quick. This is my first child and my husband's, so neither one of us even, it was just a lot for us. So My husband, he went downstairs, you know, for a little while, try to get him a breather. My mom was trying to give him a break because I'm acting crazy. I just didn't want him to leave me. What was wrong in my pregnancy, it could not have been prevented, but it definitely could have been detected earlier. So I'm already not trusting these doctors. So she like sneaking him out so he can breathe and stuff. I'm stuck in here, you stuck in here. Because after they put the epidural in, you know, you done got a catheter, you really not moving. And the nurse comes in and she helps us pick out some clothes. They couldn't really tell what it was, but they were like 80% sure that it was a girl. She let us pick out like some clothes that they had to put her in and try to get her some pictures taken. I mean, I probably had a bad attitude. I appreciate it so much now that I can look at the situation a bit different. I really appreciate it a lot. We're expecting to have a baby today. That's what they told me about the progression of my labor. And they were just like, if you feel a pressure in your behind, like your butt, I guess, like just call the nurse because you know that might be the baby moving down. Y'all, she left out, and like maybe 5 minutes later, if that, my husband had just plugged our camera's card in the computer. He had just plugged something up and he didn't really know how to work it. All of a sudden I kind of felt like a little pressure and I was like, Mom, I think I'm feeling that pressure she was talking about. And I was like, Plato, go get the nurse. He went to the door and told the nurse to come, and like when in that 1 minute the pressure got so much more intense, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling exactly what she, like, it's time. I know now that this is the pain she was talking about. Hurry up, pull the memory card back out. I'm trying to coach him through it because he don't know how to do it. So, and I could tell like it was happening so fast, like the pressure was getting so intense so quick. I'm just talking fast because I'm like, you're gonna miss it, you're gonna miss it, you're gonna miss it. They get it set up. I sit down on the bed. It was a doctor and a nurse, and they sat on the bed with me, and they were just like, okay, so they confirmed that it was time, that the baby was down where it needed to be, and they could see my contractions, and they were just like, and I didn't know at the time, but my baby had passed the night before, that night during the night, and they didn't tell me because it wasn't that I didn't know the baby was gonna pass. I definitely knew that was gonna happen, but they didn't tell me like the moment they knew because it was gonna be hard for me to push knowing like that the baby had just passed and stuff. So I didn't know, but that's why they were so calm. Like they just sat on the bed and they were just like, okay, when you feel the contraction coming, you know, just push. When I felt like it, but crazy enough, 3 pushes and I felt a little pop, and I was like, is he out? And they were like, yeah. Well, I asked, is she out? And they were like, yeah. And then they were like, it's a boy. And we were all so shocked because my whole pregnancy, everybody thought girl, everybody kept saying girl, even the doctors except my husband. He was the only person holding on to this boy stuff. Oh, and y'all, like I have it on camera, it was less than 10 minutes my actual delivery was. I was so thankful. I'm not gonna say it wasn't painful because it was, but it wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting. And my mom told me that it was one of the easiest deliveries she's ever seen, and we all felt like it was just a blessing because it was such a bad situation with everything else that was going on. Like that was the least that I could have gotten spared, you know. Like at least I didn't have to have a traumatizing birth, because delivering vaginally is already a mental thing. They tell you you can do it and you know that you can, but it's still a mental struggle, especially knowing that you're pushing in vain. Like you're going to push and you're not going to take your baby home. Your baby's not going to be okay. So they got him out and they cleaned him up. My husband and them went in another room and they dressed him up and they took a lot of pictures. It was a lot. It was really draining, and mind you, I'm exhausted because I have been laboring for days, and they were just like, when you give him up this time, this will be the last time. When he first came out, he looked just like me. His skin was my color and everything, and he just looked asleep. But as the day was going by, they would bring him back and forth, and I could see the color draining from him, and he was like really cold to the touch, and it was like really hard for me to just look at him like that or to hold him like that. And you know, he was deceased, you know, for almost 24 hours. So I was just scared. He was missing a lot on the inside of him, and you could feel that there was nothing inside. And I was really scared that like something more traumatizing would happen. Like he felt so fragile, like it felt like he could bust, like I could tear his skin, and I was so scared of something like that happening. So I gave him on up to them. We bathed him. My husband changed his diaper and his clothes, but my husband really stepped up. He had never even really dealt with a baby before, but you wouldn't have known that by looking. I went home the same night, y'all. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but I went home the same night. I convinced them people that I was not in pain. It was a lie. My back was hurting so bad I stole pillows and everything just to make it to the car. I was in terrible, excruciating pain. I couldn't even walk because the epidural still had my legs real numb. Even though, like, by the time I was pushing, it felt like the epidural wasn't working anymore. Like, I kept pressing the button and having my husband press it, and I felt the cold go down my back, but I still could feel what was going on down here. So it's kind of ironic how after the fact my legs went up. Yeah, that's basically the whole labor story. It's kind of boring because my actual delivery went by so fast. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. I'm actually scheduled to do it again this year. We conceived again March, and I had him November. Yep, we conceived again March 2019. I had him November 12th, 2018. Were we trying to? No, but we were not trying that hard not to. Like, we were not using condoms, I'm gonna say that. What happened was I actually had signed paperwork for them to insert the Mirena like directly after my delivery, but my delivery happened so fast that they forgot. Well, now we have to wait until you get a cycle again for you to get on birth control, and then like my first cycle was my last cycle. So God sent you his blessings on his time and not yours, so I'm not ungrateful, but I am tired of being pregnant. But yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. I hope it wasn't too boring, but I feel like it should be helpful to some people because I did not know anything about my options beforehand, and I feel like whatever I did know, due to like the situation we got put under, it just got wiped from my mind. But you can still do it. You can vaginally deliver regardless of anything. I was on one of those people that thought I was gonna die trying to birth a child, and I did not. I went home the same day. I went back to work right at 2 weeks after, like a day before. It had been 2 weeks. Probably too early. I probably went home too early, and I probably went back to work too early. But I'm one of those people that you just cannot tell no. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I just work through my pain. If you want a video with like more details about what exactly was wrong with the baby, I can do one, but I didn't want to bore anybody with those details in this video specifically. So yeah,
she will never know my name.